Comedian, author and speaker Costa Carastavrakis will be live on stage at the theatre on the Square in Sandton from the 12th to the 16th of July for 6 shows titled Desperately Seeking Souvlaki. Now, the comedy show is centered around a Greek man's travels and in him finding his identity. Written and performed by Costa himself, he joins us now this morning to enlighten us a bit more on the show. Costa, good morning, welcome.
You got my
help me with the surname first of all.
You got my name right. Carastavrakis, you got it right. You get an Oscar. No, I'll keep the Oscar. No, I'll keep the Oscar, thank you. No, it's mine, it's mine. Well done, you got my name right.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
I try.
You did very well.
Desperately seeking, okay, so souvlaki, is that also correct?
Souvlaki, yes.
All right.
It's a Greek word. You know kebab?
What does it mean?
A souvlaki, a souvlaki, like a stick with lots of beef on it.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm desperately seeking. It's like a Greek cultural dish, like traditional to Greeks.
Okay.
We invented it, actually.
Right?
Yes, everybody else says it's theirs, but no, it's actually ours.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yep.
I actually did know that. Okay, what's this show, comedy show about?
So, Desperately Seeking Souvlaki, as a comedian, the best thing you can talk about is your own life.
Yeah.
And my own life about seeking my identity, seeking my place in South African society as a Greek, South African, gay, out there, man, etc., etc. Just kind of finding my place. And it's all about the funny things about my life that are pretty universal. We all come from crazy families, we all come from crazy communities, and I just try and make it relatable and laughable.
Right. And we know you as an author and a restaurant owner. So how did comedy come into the picture?
Well, the book was a serious book about my trouble with drugs. I took on drugs and they won. But then again, I claimed my life back.
But then you won because you left the drugs.
Yes, I did leave the drugs.
So you won.
I did win eventually. You are right. You are right.
And you got an Oscar for it.
And I got an Oscar for it. Thank you. Yes. Which camera am I on? Oh, there we go. Hi. Yes. So my drug story was a really, really tough one. But then I turned it into some humor. Yeah, and
okay.
That's the thing. It's about, like, after healing, it's time to have some fun. It's time to laugh about life. It's time, like, South Africans, we are too serious. We are too serious as South Africans. You know?
Actually, South Africans are more humorous, eh? Because they're able to turn whatever adversity, whatever problem into humor.
We have stopped doing that, and it's time we did more of that.
More of that, yeah.
Life is heavy for everybody, and I'm not saying for any reason out there people are not having a tough time, but we need to find the humor in it. Yeah.
You know, Costa, you also began running and completed in the New York Marathon in 2011.
Yeah, that was a while ago, hey? You know what's cool about running the New York Marathon? The next morning you wake up, and they print your name in the newspaper. So I can be seen, like, as seen in the New York Times. I'm a New York Times quoted comedian.
Right. I'm going to quote you on that one. And living as a gay South African Greek man, you must have faced prejudice, man, in so many forms.
You know,
how did you, counter that?
You know, while I'd like to talk about my prejudice and the pain that I went through, having healed and having a whole community behind me is fantastic. I'd like to draw light to the people who don't have that. Many South Africans, while we are protected by our constitution, many of my trans brothers and sisters, many of my lesbian sisters are getting. It's tough. Yeah. It's tough out there. So while I have a safety and security around me, I do need to say that South Africa, we are not where we need to be. I forgot what the question was, but I feel so strongly about that.
And how did you manage to counter such prejudices?
So you know, coming from a life of privilege and opportunity, you know, it was easier for me. Yes, it was difficult for me, but now I want to draw some light and some humor to my darkness so that other people actually just have a little bit of hope that, you know, it is possible. It is possible for your community to accept you. It is possible for your country and to support you. You just need to find the right people and you need to heal in the right way.
Sure. And how do you, or rather, do you incorporate such issues into your set or into your shows? And in a manner that is not insensitive, because it still remains as a very sensitive issue in South Africa.
You know, the thing is, when you laugh about yourself, you can get away with anything. I'm allowed to make gay jokes. I'm allowed to make Greek jokes, man jokes, Joburg jokes, all the things that make me who I am. But yeah, I do it in a very tongue-in-cheek way. And sometimes some of it is really hard hitting, but there's always a laugh at the end because you got to finish with a punchline.
Of course, of
Yeah.
course. And then how do you make sure then that you don't, step into uncharted waters in terms of, just teasing other people and in terms of upsetting other people? How do you make sure that you do it in a more humorous way?
You got to, as a comedian, you often got to ask, is it clever and is it kind?
True. True.
Sometimes it's a little unkind. I'm a little unkind to, parts of my family, but I always do it in a way that is cheeky, a little bit irreverent, but never really unkind. And I have run all my jokes. The people I laugh about, I've run my jokes past them first. And I say, with your permission, can I make fun of you? And they say, knock yourself out. Yeah.
Okay. Does that work?
So when I throw my grandmother under the bus, actually she passed on, but when I throw my mother under the bus, my mother's heard all my jokes, my father's heard all my jokes, and they're like, you go, son.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that is so cool, though.
I am very, very lucky. My family's amazing.
Yeah. So just to ensure that you don't upset other people.
Sure.
Yeah. So then how then do you draw the line between freedom of speech and just making people laugh?
So firstly, people relax. It's art, okay? And my mentor, John Vlismus, he told me last week, he's like, art is meant to provoke. Art is not real life, okay? Let's package it. So yes, don't hide behind art and be insensitive and really irreverent, but at the end of the day, it is art. It's a bubble, okay? It's meant to provoke. It's meant to make you feel uncomfortable. You're meant to laugh. Laughter is so close to tragedy. Comedy is so close to tragedy. And us comedians, we just bring lightness to the darkness. So it's a bit uncomfortable. Laugh it off. That's why you laugh it off. That's why it's called a punchline. You punch it and it's over.
I quite like what you said. Comedy is close to tragedy. That's actually food for thought.
It's exactly where it comes from. From the pain. That's why we always laugh when something goes wrong, when somebody trips. Why do we laugh? That's a natural human thing. We can't get away from it.
Yeah. And this will be your debut in comedy, right?
Yeah, well, I've done lots of open mic night gigs all over the place. And this is a show I put on twice, once in Cape Town, once in Joburg. And this is the first run at Mandela, the Theatre on the Square,
Theatre on the Square,
12th to the 16th of July. Tickets at CompuTicket.
Okay. So what are some of the issues that South Africa is facing right now that, you can just pinpoint and make humor out of them?
Tolerance of each other. And each other's journeys.
And we don't have that.
Each other's journeys. Everybody has their own journey and their own story. Some respect and kindness for each other.
Right.
Can I? Yes.
Yeah,
Thank
go
you.
on.
Thank you.
Be my guest.
No, I just want, that was my acceptance speech. Thank you.
And which other province will you be touring?
So far, no other tours dates have been finalized. There is Cape Town dates coming, possibly November, Bloem, PE and Durban. But I've just booked my first gig overseas, Athens.
Look at you.
Athens, Greece, on the 7th of September, one night only.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
All the best, man. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Great stuff. Well, we just spoke to Costa Carastavrakis. You said earlier on that if I could pronounce Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, then I can easily pronounce her surname.
100%.
All right, that was Costa, a published author, successful businessman, and now a stand-up comedian.